Imagine the scene a year from now in the House of Representatives. It's question time. Kevin Rudd is the Prime Minister, because he will still be the Prime Minister. And let us suppose for a moment that Tony Abbott is still the Leader of the Opposition. And Tony Abbott unrolls a hideous screenshot of carnal action. Right? The internet filter is all bedded down, it's all in place, all's there, the scheme is operating. And Tony Abbott comes into the House of Representatives, rolled up, and then unrolls with a flourish a screenshot of a hideous sexual act going on and says to the Prime Minister, "How can you allow this on the internet? You have the power to stop it, the machinery is there, why aren't you stopping it? How can you expose the community and children to this?" And he holds it up. And the Prime Minister will say, because it doesn't fall into the classification we're banning. And Tony Abbott will say, well, why isn't it banned? It's disgusting, and it's there because you are allowing it to be there. And he can come into the House day after day, week after week, with trashy screenshots taken from some of the most hideous areas of the internet, which are, in fact, lawfully screened, and he can say, how is your government allowing this? Because the minute you have the power to filter the internet, you are responsible for everything that is there. And you wonder, why would a government do this? Well, first, it's important to understand it's being done because Rudd wants it done. There are no freelancers in his cabinet. Stephen Conroy is doing what the Prime Minister wants him to do. Kevin Rudd has cleared the decks for the election. He has cleared the decks of any attempt to deal with global warming. He has abandoned casually plans for a Charter of Rights, but he is ploughing on with the filter. This is something he will spend political capital on. And you only had to look at the hands going up on Q&A last night to understand that this is going to take political capital to bed down. And he is going to do it because it is about children, because it's about vulnerable children, and because in the handful of issues that really matter to Kevin Rudd, protecting vulnerable children is one of them. And that is because he was a vulnerable child. David Marr's quarterly essay on the subject, soon to come out, will explain some of these things. This is why he dived into the Henson debate and declared those pictures absolutely revolting. It is about protecting children. It really is about protecting children. Decent people and decent governments do all they can to protect children. But they have to protect real children and offer real protection from real danger. The problem with the plans to mandatorily filter the internet is, though the children are real, undoubtedly real, the protection is illusory and the danger is exaggerated. It is suggested by the proponents of the filter that without the filter we are somehow defenceless. This is rubbish. At the time I was writing that little Henson book about the extraordinary panic that swept Australia at that time, I had the opportunity to meet and talk to the AFP officers who run the policing of the internet for things like child porn. And at exactly the time the Henson thing blew up, they were bringing in one of the most important operations they had done in suppressing and punishing those who deal in child porn. It was called Operation Centurion. It led to hundreds of arrests around the world and 50 or 60 arrests in Australia. It led to the rescue of children from bondage. In Australia, it was a remarkable and a successful operation. The officers involved in Operation Centurion had to leave their work for a few days in order to look at the Hensons owned by the National Gallery in Canberra. The police were ropeable about this waste of their time, completely ropeable. Now, They work very well policing the internet. In New South Wales, if you are found to be making or disseminating or holding, possessing child pornography, you can go to jail for 10 years. Now, a charge involving child pornography does not just involve a jail sentence. The conviction on a charge of child pornography shreds your life. You have nothing remotely like a reputation left. Murder is one thing. Honestly, in this town you can overcome a reputation for having, perhaps a hot-blooded moment when you were young, murdered somebody, or maybe a couple of people. But a conviction on any child pornography charge is the end of you as a civil person, as a civic person. You are done for. You all remember the fate of Patrick Power, a senior barrister in this town, one of the senior prosecutors for the Director of Public Prosecutions. He was found to have a swamp of apparently hideous child pornography on the hard drive of his private website, private computer. He went to jail for 8 months. He emerged a completely shredded human being. The internet is policed for child pornography, and those who are caught are extremely strongly punished. We are not defenceless without a filter. We simply are not. I'm not sure that I would be here tonight if this was a plan by the government tightly focused on removing from the internet child pornography. I would perhaps be arguing that there's a danger with such plans that, having established the machinery to censor one thing on the internet, a government at some time further down the track might be tempted to censor more. The unique thing about the Australian plan is that bracket creep is built in. It is there from the start. This is not just about child pornography. It is about the whole category, which now has the rather unfortunately ambiguous initials RC. Now, there may be some people in this audience, roughly my age, who think RC refers to Roman Catholic. No, it is not. There is no plan here at the moment to ban the works of the Catholic Church. The RC stands for refused classification, and it is not a small category in this country. It is a very idiosyncratic category. And everything falling into RC, let's put to one side the hilarious proposition that the small team of people in Surrey Hills who make the classifications are going to be capable of classifying the whole of the world's internet. There isn't, as I understand it, there isn't the manpower to classify what has happened in the 36 minutes so far. But what is proposed to be banned in this country will be, by the internet filtering, will be computer games for adults, which are banned in this country. We're a unique country in the world. We ban computer games for adults. Salo, that old film, has just recently been released, so it's not going to be banned. Anything about methods for euthanasia, of course, will be banned. And I can imagine at some stage Tony Abbott coming into the House of Representatives and saying, look, here's a picture of people, I was going to say smoking. No, because of course the Liberal Party took $200,000 from British American Tobacco and Philip Morris last year. So he wouldn't be, but maybe he would want, say, dope smoking banned by filter. This is a tremendously bad idea. We can deal with this without the government taking the power to decide what we can and cannot see using secret lists to determine it. We can do it without that. And while we can do it without that, we must. There is no sense in us handing the government this kind of machinery with its impact on our lives.